Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Championship Mode Sports Podcast with your host, Lil Ralph Mama Eats.
And Rob
Bettis. He doesn't have a nickname yet, but it's all right. Because right now, we're breaking down you college football. Last weekend, crazy weekend, we had a top 10 team, top 5 team go down in Alabama. Crazy shootout. Are they finished? Is their deal over? We're talking hot topics.
I don't think so.
You don't think so yet?
No.
Before we do anything else, though, Rob, cue the intro. What's up, guys? We're back with you, bringing you another banger, but not NFL. We're talking college football today.
College football's where it's at.
Crazy weekend, Rob.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on in the top 5? Stuff just got thrown out of whack, and they're lucky we didn't get more chaos.
Well, I'm thinking that right now the playoff teams are starting to separate themselves. That's what's happening.
In the top, right?
Yeah.
Ohio State.
I told you they were money.
Darn near unbeatable Ohio State with two of the best players in college football right now in Justin Fields.
Yeah, I think Trey Young.
And Trey Young. Craziness, man.
Yep.
Craziness. Absolute craziness. LSU still having problems stopping on defense. What do you think about them?
They're legit.
They're legit, but I do not. They gave up 600 yards to Ole Miss a few weeks ago. Do you think that they would slow down on Ohio State?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
If they're on a neutral field, Ohio State takes that game. That's just my opinion, but we'll get into that.
We're going to run down the scores for you right now. Number 1, Ohio State destroyed Michigan 56-27. We had LSU destroy A&M 50-7. What the heck is wrong with these cats? 50-7. Clemson 38-3. Very nice win. We're going to get into Dabo, Sweeny, and that crazy rant. And we're going to talk the college football playoff too. And then we have Georgia 52-7, a really nice win. But this is the banger of the night. Alabama goes down to Auburn 48-45. Give me your thoughts on that crazy game.
Well, initial thoughts is they were without Tua,
100%.
but the offense didn't lose the game.
That's what I'm about to say. You lose what people were saying was a Heisman front runner, and these cats still scored 45 points.
Yeah, I've been very critical of Sark, as you know, and I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm super big homer for USC, as you can tell,
right there.
Obviously.
You cannot deny the gear.
Yeah, exactly.
We bring you the best in podcasting. We bring you the Tesla of podcasting. We don't bring you that broken down car from the auction. We bring you that good nonsense.
I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make it known. You know, I love USC, but I'm going to give you my unbiased. I'm going to try to give you my unbiased opinion.
We at Championship Mode Sports, we love our teams, but we're keeping it real with you. You don't need to go to ESPN. You have to come to us.
Yeah.
You leave the cats over there. You leave the Max Kellermans of the world, and you come to us. But back to the Alabama game. Why can they not win in the Auburn field?
Like I was saying, I've been critical of Sark because, you know, we know how that went down.
100%.
Wasn't good.
Joke.
But to his credit, he had them rolling against Auburn. How many points did he score?
45 points.
45 points.
Without the best player in college football.
I'm not sure what is going on with Nick Saban and his defense. That is his money. That's where he eats.
100%.
And I have no idea what happened.
I have a theory. So let me run this theory. Let me crack this theory off of you. My theory is that the Clemsons of the world, the Ohio States of the world, all these top 10 programs are starting to recruit better. Is it that the talent is catching up to the Saban era, or is he losing his touch on the defensive end of the field? Because it seems like every big game they're getting roasted for more than 30 points.
Well, I think that their talent is a factor, of course, but let's zoom out a little bit.
Break it.
Auburn had a lot of difficulty scoring on Oregon. Of course, that was at the beginning of the year.
First
they're
game,
breaking in a freshman quarterback.
Yep.
I understand that, but they haven't been lighting it up on offense all year. Nothing that would warrant us to
I did not think
be
about
tipped
that.
off that they would have an offensive explosion against, of all teams, Alabama.
Yep.
Who is known for their defense.
He usually goes crazy, Rob, but I have never seen him lose his cool that much on a sideline before.
I mean, I don't blame him. They lost the game on a penalty.
What was the penalty? Break that down for our viewers.
think they had like 12 men on the field or something crazy like that.
I saw
So
that.
uncharacteristic of a Nick Saban
For one of
team.
his teams.
I would expect that from USC, not from Alabama.
Yeah. One of the lower tier teams.
Especially to lose the game on that note. Gave him a free first down. That was it. All timeouts were gone. That was game.
Dude, Gus Malzahn, is it safe to say that Gus Malzahn just has their number in that building? Yeah, I heard some crazy stat. I don't think that under Gus Malzahn they've lost in that building to Alabama.
Oh, we need to pull up that stat, but
something crazy like that.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that maybe Nick Saban might be looking at the finish line. I'm not saying this year, but pretty soon. But
for career, or just I want the season to be over without my top player.
No, I'm saying that he might be coming down to hanging his tennies up, as you say, quote unquote,
hanging the straw hat,
something like that. But
oh my gosh, bro, I got.
He's fought the good fight. He's done what he needs to do.
I just don't understand. Pac-12 teams, I'm going to lay into you cats, you bums. Oregon, I love Oregon. I'm Oregon homer, let's be real. But you cats let us down. Imagine if Oregon wins that game, Pac-12's in the playoff.
Well, let's not forget Utah's still in it.
Utah's still in the play. Do you think, and we'll get to that in a minute, do you think Utah will be able to beat Oregon and then sneak into the playoff?
Yes.
You think so?
Yes.
You think that they'll give the Pac-12 a nod?
Yes, absolutely.
Do they stand a chance against Ohio State?
The only way that Pac-12 is out is if Georgia wins.
That's true, because they have to play LSU in the championship game, right?
Yeah, that's the only way that the Pac-12 gets out.
Do you think they'll
Georgia
still
wins.
let LSU win?
Of course, yeah. They have more quality wins.
I don't know. That's crazy.
They would do it.
You think they would do it?
They would do it.
Well, I mean, it goes back to our bigger debate that we were having earlier, and this is a true thing. Everybody's crying about SEC teams, South biased, but when these teams get into the playoff, they are taking care of business.
And
I don't see them losing.
I mean, I think we can get into that a little bit because I think that's something to unpack because that's going to tie into the Dabo Sweeny rant.
His rant. Yeah.
So let's finish these scores and let's get our little opinions.
It's craziness, man. Let me look up this last one. We had Utah skunk Colorado 45-15, but it had a slow start. Had a slow start.
Utah almost Utah'd that game.
Exactly, which had us worried as Pac-12 fans over there. Let's go to the next one. Oklahoma 34, Oklahoma State 16. I didn't really watch that game, so I wouldn't know.
They're going to be a good one coming up. I think
Wisconsin versus
Baylor.
Minnesota. Are you serious? Oh, yeah, they're going to have a rematch.
Big 12 championship. Yeah.
Rematch.
It's gonna be a really good game.
Florida versus Florida State 40-17. Man, I am so impressed by Florida. I'm so impressed by that head coach.
Who was it? Dan Mullen?
Yeah, Dan Mullen. He's really brought them back. He's really brought them back to a power in the SEC.
Yeah.
Oregon 24-10. Nothing special. Again, we're seeing Oregon just...
Who'd they play?
Oregon State. I don't understand why they didn't blow them out. I don't understand. It's just run the ball, be conservative, play defense, but it's hard to win like that.
You know what? That's true, but Oregon State is coming up.
Oregon State's
getting a little bit better.
They might have played them hard, but I was just kind of not feeling that game at all.
Yeah.
Iowa 27-24, Memphis 34-24, and then we just go on and on and on up the top 20.
Yeah.
We're breaking that down. Pac-12 schools showing out, but not showing out impressively.
No, they're not. And I was telling you this, the Pac-12 is so far behind the other conferences when you look at just the revenue aspect of the TV deals is so dumb that they
explain this to me, because you made a very good point off the air.
They chose to not go with a established, affiliate like Fox or ESPN. They chose to make their own network. Hasn't panned out so far. They're not making a lot of money. They're not giving the schools a lot of money. They have like a little socialist program going on where all the schools get the same amount of money instead of taking care of your money makers like the SEC, the Big Ten. They take care of their money teams.
They take care of their Ohio States, their Alabamas.
So what that has created is that has, left the Pac-12 catching up and, they're not getting that extra revenue to build up their programs, to hire extra support staff. The Pac-12 is so Mickey Mouse compared to the Alabamas and the Ohio States of the world.
Clemson's
of the world.
This is a five-star program that they run over there.
Let's be real. No one heard of Clemson a couple of years ago. Well, I'm not going to say a couple of years ago. I'm
Before Dabo
exaggerating. But even while he was there, until they got serious about their support staff and about everything else, then you started seeing the results on the field.
I remember them averaging maybe one good player a year, and then there was this one year they had Taj Boyd, Sammy Watkins, DeAndre Hopkins, all these guys, and then you start to say, Clemson's a real talented program.
But you see, they're in the ACC. I mean, everyone around them is trash, obviously.
100%. Florida State will be up a year or two, but nothing special.
Didn't pan out.
Nothing special.
It was just like a couple of years. Jameis Winston leaves, gone.
He's a fluke in the NFL.
That was crazy in itself, but to their own right, they made a good run, But
yeah.
But to establish my point, there isn't really a contender to Clemson.
Yeah, 100%.
So the Pac-12 should model that and say, hey, you know what? We're going to take care of our big money teams.
Yeah.
And they're gonna make the conference money, because what happens if you do that, you make the competition come up as opposed to, the cream of the crop goes down.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what's happening in the Pac-12. They say, Pac-12 eats each other up. There's some truth to that, but not really.
Not this year. The bottom of the team is very
they haven't been impressive.
Bad. Stanford, bad. Arizona State, bad. Arizona, bad. Them teams are just terrible.
I will say this. I was not sold on, what's his name, David Shaw being a good coach.
You weren't sold after 5 years of work.
Nope. I saw that, to me, he was writing on Jim Harbaugh's recruits.
The model of recruiting.
And that there was even some, that also coincides with
USC coming down. Yeah, 100%.
Ending for USC.
100%.
So they were able to eat up those extra recruits and whatnot. But
they wanted that little run.
We see David Shaw for what he is.
As far as this year, 100%. Even last year too.
And the year before.
Even last year too.
And the year before.
They get a good game here and there. Like I said, Oregon just last year, dude, these cats dropping games to teams they should be beating have no, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know. Yeah. This Arizona State thing killed the Pac-12. Them losing Arizona State killed the Pac-12. I just don't understand.
They wouldn't have survived, as you see. I told you.
Well, I'm a Duck fan. I want no part of Ohio State. Let's be real. I want no part of that team.
I'm a USC fan. Obviously you can see that, but they have no business on the field with Georgia.
100%.
Even though they should. Yep. USC is a blue blood program. It's just not in the books right now.
It's not happening. And this is why I'm not raging on the playoff. And we're gonna get into the next thing about bias in the South and this and that. But I'm not raging for the playoff right now. If we get a team in, it's fine. If we don't, then I'm fine with that too. Because what we have in the top 4, I'm satisfied with that.
Fair enough.
I'm satisfied having a crazy good playoff run this year.
Yeah.
Let's get on to the next subject. We talked about Alabama. We talked about college football news. We broke down some scores for you. Dabo Sweeny went on this crazy rant to the reporters.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction on that rant? For those of you that don't know, Dabo Sweeny goes on this rant and says, you know what? If we would have lost, what do you say? If we would have lost, you guys would have knocked us out of the college football playoff.
They would have.
100%.
Would have happened.
Undefeated season, but not really that impressive of an undefeated season.
Yeah.
Just almost losing to North Carolina.
Yeah.
Georgia has a more impressive. Georgia with one loss has a more impressive schedule has more impressive resume compared to them, and that's because they were playing the same team. And
who does Georgia beat?
SEC, bro. Over ACC, I just don't see any kind of stack to throw towards Clemson.
I see Georgia as a good team. Don't get me wrong, but if you want to compare apples to apples, Georgia beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame ain't that good.
Their team's trash. That's why
they barely beat USC. USC has a lot of issues going on, both internally with injuries, all that stuff, and then the coaching.
They fired a coach, but they didn't, or they're gonna fire a coach.
We'll get into that in a little bit, but going back to the Georgia deal, they beat Notre Dame. Who else did they beat?
I actually don't know. Florida.
They beat Florida. Did they beat them pretty easily? I can't remember. Florida's pretty good, but they may have 1 or 2 wins, but they are better looking than Clemson's right now.
In my opinion, they are.
But I think what Dabo Dabo has credit to what he's saying, but there's also some drawbacks to what he says. It's 50% truth, 50% maybe not so much.
100%.
But I think there is truth. They would have removed them had they lost to who? South Carolina.
Yeah.
Had they lost to South Carolina.
South Carolina beat Georgia, and that's why that came up.
Yeah.
That's why that was a big issue.
Well, the reason why it's a big issue, Clemson plays in the ACC. Not a strong conference.
Nah, not at all.
They're out of conference scheduling.
Not strong at all. Not impressive. Every year they kind of duck on the good teams.
It is what it is. Dabo's right. They would have been removed from the playoff, but to his dismay, they haven't beaten anybody.
They haven't scheduled tough out of conference either.
They haven't scheduled tough out of conference. It's not their fault. The ACC sucks. I'll give them that. But what they can't control, they didn't help themselves.
100%.
Maybe they didn't bank on Texas A&M sucking either.
That's true. Texas A&M,
it's not that good.
Letting down Aggie Nation. I'm not even an Aggie homer, but just looking at what they got, man, they're underperforming.
Yeah, absolutely.
100% underperforming.
Kevin Sumlin had his his deals and stuff that I heard and little things like that. Now I'm not going to get into that, but to say he left that program pretty stacked. He recruited well.
And Jimbo Fisher's not a terrible coach.
They just need to get it together.
They need to get it together. 100%,
bottom line,
100%.
Texas A&M should not be sucking the way
not the way they are. Not this season.
Should not be struggling. No.
Craziness.
This is second year, right? Should not be. No.
Even his first year,
not.
I didn't foresee them being this terrible. Not with the recruiting class that they had.
They're not doing good, and you could bring them. Well, the SEC. No, they're losing to other teams.
They walked into the SEC from the Big 12, dude, winning games. What are you talking about?
Exactly.
So, and that's it. They had lesser recruits back then.
Yeah. So that doesn't hold any water.
Yeah. But
going back to the Clemson deal, they would have been dropped. And there is some truth to what he's saying that, they conflate, the SEC, they boost rankings so that, when their top teams beat, let's say Ole Miss, they overrank them.
100%.
They get they beat a ranked team. Well, there's some truth to that.
There is.
But as the point you brought up earlier was
my main point is no one can say a darn thing.
That's right.
If these guys get into the playoffs and they beat you.
That's right.
You can't talk about teams in the South. If they get into the playoff and they beat these teams.
That's right.
So you're crying for nothing because you can't even beat them when it counts.
Their argument does not hold water because when they get into the playoff,
they lose or choke.
I'm talking about the SEC teams. They win.
They win.
Yeah.
But they don't choke. Or like, for instance, a few years ago when we had that really good Georgia versus Alabama, everybody crying. No one likes why we have two teams in the championship game from the same conference. One of the best college football games I've ever seen. That's where Tua made his mark. He had never started before, right?
No.
Never started before, goes in there and wins a national championship. It's a great story. But before anything else, you saw Baker Mayfield and that team, they choked to Georgia. So you can't be complaining if you choke to Georgia and you're crying while they're in the championship game.
That's right. So no one has a leg to stand on. SEC produces results. That's it.
So you're not going to be able to say nothing till you beat them.
That's right.
And that's where we go from there. You can't say nothing till you beat them.
Now, if you want to debate whether they should expand the playoff, that's a debatable question.
That's the one. I want to get into that, actually. I want to get into that.
Maybe